Share screen. Okay. I think we'll first go into the Healy app itself, the pink dot app. The help is I turn on my Healy.
Oh, good. Now I can see.
You should always turn on your Healy before you turn on the app. If things start to get confused, then just, my favorite mantra is when in doubt, close it out. So you can close the app, and if you have to start the Healy over again by pressing the little button in the middle and seeing the green light flashing, then you can do that. So when I first log in, it's going to bring me back to the last thing that I ran. So I'm going to hit cancel. And then I'm going to go back to the top left, the three little lines. And this is the simple interface. All it is a list of program folders. Okay. It's very, very simple. It's amazing the power and all you can do with the Healy with such a simple, elegant user interface. That's all I have to say. So I'll just point out that to the right, you see 84%. That's showing your battery life on the Healy. It lasts for around 8 hours of use, and definitely uses up the battery faster when you're using the microcurrent side, this side. With the other app, it will last much longer. So if I go into, well, let's see, it starts out with the gold cycle program. So you saw a little bit of what that looked like. Those are the different programs. And I'll come back to that maybe. And then, oh, you know what I wanted to grab? Taz, do you have handy the description of the programs, the names and the descriptions? She may not be back. I'm gonna go grab that. Okay. Let's see if it's not in this room. All right. I'm just gonna read you a couple examples. Oops. Now, as you scroll down here, you'll see this digital nutrition that I mentioned, where you can subscribe and receive all of these, right? So, oops. You know what I did is I walked out of the room, and so I have to get back to where the Healy is. So my tablet or my phone is the bridge between the medical cloud and the Healy. So now I'm back in the room, turn my Healy on again. I'll try connect to Healy, and if it doesn't do it right away, I'll close the app out rather than let it search for a long time and let it reconnect that way. So it's just to kind of show you what happens as you bounce back and forth. So that's taking too long for my taste, so I'm gonna close it out, push it off the screen. My Healy green light's still flashing, so I can go ahead and start it again. So I'll touch that, pink dot app, give it a fresh start. Here we are. All right, so again, I'm gonna press cancel. Now, I'll just say here, these are the therapist programs. What I didn't mention in the presentation is that if you want to work with someone that has the parent technology, which is the time waiver, they have access to many more databases, can do very, very in-depth analysis, and they can create programs for you that they can download onto your Healy, and they've got 12 slots for that. And so now you've got customized programs, and there's, you know, some practitioners, mostly in Europe. There's one that I'm very fond of in England that I've worked with a lot. So I've got, you know, several things that I really want some in-depth support for, so I can run those programs. She can also, so she can send me something that's more like the Healy app side, put on my Healy, and then she can also send vibrations into the field periodically through the month that are more like the resonance. So she can work, again, a custom program for me with that, depending on the issues. And then she can take a look and see what progress we're making. Like we can show how dysregulated my hormones are, the different glands are, how the large intestine is doing, how the small intestine is doing, and, you know, different things will show up. So for people that want to, you know, dive deep into something that's complex, you have that ability, which is, I think, a really beautiful feature. All right. And the other thing I wanted to point out here, there's this one called bioenergetic support. And when you push on the little arrow to the right, it's called bioenergetic boost. And it's only one program. And that's what the company released when there was this virus that came out. They wanted something that would support our immunity. And so that's something that you can run for yourself. You can run it every day. I think it's about a 45-minute program. So I'm going to go back to the three little hamburger kind of icon at the top of the page, and I'll show you what happens. Let's pick a mental balance program. So let's see. We're going to do contentment systemic, which has to do with the energetic balancing of the inner sense of self to help avoid addictive and compensatory behaviors. Oh, that sounds good. I like the little icon that they have for it. So this one's a 60-minute program. So I would press on, and it shows you where you're going to use your electrodes. Most of them are on the wrists. You know, if you have pain around your knee, you would, you know, do sticky pads on either side of your knee. For the ones around the head in the US, what we're authorized to do, what's okay with the FDA, is that we put sticky pad electrodes on the bone behind our ear. And for Europe and other places, they're okayed with their legal possibilities to use little ear clips. So as I press start, the program is being transmitted from the cloud. The device is showing what's happening between the cloud and my Healy. And as I'm looking at my Healy, I'll see a little green light flashing, and then I see a little blue light, which is the Bluetooth that's functioning. Now, once this little white line goes all the way to the right, the program is entirely on my Healy, not on the app, but on my Healy. What's happening, if I look at the app, is it's really the recorder or the logger. It's showing you the progress, what hertz is running, how many minutes are left, the intensity, and if you're conducting well. So that little, where the red dot is over the black, that's going to change to either white or black. And if I have no electrodes on, or I'm not conducting well, it's going to be black. And then if I'm conducting well, it'll turn white. So I can adjust this intensity by pressing the plus and the minus. I was running it around 15%. They just did a software update from the company. And so now, in order to get it to turn white, I have to turn it up to like 25%. So I'm doing it at that level. And that was, they made an adjustment because some people were running it way higher than they should and, you know, causing damage for themselves. So you want to always run it as low as possible. That's going to be better for the ATP effect that you're hoping to have. Okay, so that's what that looks like as it's running. Now, if I walk out of the room or walk far away, I think more than 30 feet or through a door, you know, if there's a solid wall or whatever, then I'm going to come back and it's going to be just like the image you saw where it said next and it showed the electrode position. It's going to act like you're just ready to start the program. And you'll click on next and it's going to pick up where you were. So it's going to have elapsed because the program has been running and now the recorder can pick up on that. So pretty magical software design, I have to say. Now, if I click on the three lines at the top left, it's thinking I want to close this program. And so that X is there and I can say okay, or I could say no. If I say no, I can tap in the center circles and it will start up again. Okay, so if I hit the screen or I hit the three little lines, it's going to put that X there, and then I can go ahead and X out of it if I wanted to end it. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. And then there's the settings, and this is where you would check for updates. So I can see if my updates need to be there, and I can change languages. And I can turn on the sound or off the sound for the little sound that plays at the end of a program. All right. So now I'm going to close out of that. And I'm going to go into the Blue Dot app. Do you see that? Can everybody see my screen? Taz, can you see it?
Yep, we can see it just fine.
Thank you. I remember to turn my Healy on. I think. This is a great example, you guys. So when I'm clicking on that center dot, the green light briefly flashes and then goes off. And that tells me that my Healy needs to be charged. Now, if I'm using the pink dot app, the Healy app with the electrodes, I can't charge it and use the electrodes at the same time. But with the resonance, I can, because it doesn't need cables into the bottom of the Healy, which is where the charger is. So I'm going to go grab my charger and be charging it while I still continue to do the demonstration for you. Pretty handy. Somebody's sound is on and we can hear you. So if you can mute yourself, please.
Anne, if you can mute yourself.
What?
If you can mute yourself, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I'm just doing 5 things at once. Okay, here we go.
Thank you. All right. Now, when I plug it in to charge, the green light's going to stay on as a solid green light. And when it's done charging in probably an hour and a half, then it'll go off and I know it's ready. All right. So this is a very simple user interface for the resonance side. You'll see there's really only 2 places that you can go. At the bottom of the screen, there's a little gray zigzag. I call it the heartbeat. And of course, the gear shift for, where any updates or not updates, but well, we'll just see what's there. Like the manual's there and you can actually access the manual. And it actually logs into the Healy world and brings up the manual for the app, which is very handy. So it reconnects back. And then I can go to the house. And the house is where you're going to go to set up a new client or to look at lists for the client. And the lists are the results of scans that you do. So you go to the house for new clients to look at lists, or access lists, and you go to the little zigzag or heartbeat sign if you're going to do a scan and then emit vibrations into the field. And again, I can see the battery life in the top right. I can also see the battery life on my iPad mini. So it looks like we need a cord here for that. Let's see what's what here. Let me get that charged up. And I recommend that you consider getting a device that's pretty well dedicated to using for your Healy. You could get a Galaxy Mini for like around $100 at Costco. There's other options. I prefer my iPad Mini, but you can choose what you want. Or you could put it on an old phone. I like the mini size because I can see more, but you can load you can use your Healy on multiple devices, I think at least up to 5. So you can share that. Oops. Okay, so now we're going to show you what you do when you want to add a new client. So I'll touch right here where it says add new client. And you see I can choose an individual, animal, plant, organization, building, vehicle, group, other. So that's where you might want to treat a whole area of geography that needs attention, for instance. Right. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to say it's going to be an individual. And as soon as I put any name in here, I'm just going to type my name. Now, one of the things that I see changes on the screen, it's a really important thing to point out, is this little white check mark in the upper right is your save button, and that's what's going to save it to the cloud. So if you enter things about somebody, you get the picture loaded and their birth date information, which is really all you need. You don't need to put their email and all of that in here. If you want to, you can, but you don't need to. You can keep that however you normally keep it.
Can I ask a question about the cloud real quick?
Could we do questions at the end?
Yes.
Okay, that I think will be easier, especially
you.
when people rewatch it. Okay, so now I can click the check mark or touch the check mark, and it says the client has been stored. Should this client be synchronized to the cloud? A declaration of consent of the client must be available. So you can get verbal consent, whatever you want, but obviously you want to do it with someone knowing about it or a close family member, you know, that knows about it, something like that. So I can click yes. And then it's going to ask me, do I want to do analysis now? And I'm going to say no for right now, but it would take me over to that heartbeat section. And then I can click on this blue plus sign, and it's going to say, do you want to take a photo, which I could do if the person was sitting in front of me, or I could choose from the gallery. And so if you're going to work on someone remotely, you know, you just need to get it into your photo gallery from a text, from an email, from a messenger, however you're going to receive it. Okay. And like I said, you really only need to put in, I put in the first and last name, the birth date, the birthplace, and what sex they are. And then I record a vibration for them. And it asks you, when you click on the plus sign for record vibration, to put the Healy in your right hand. So I put it in my right hand for that person because that's my intention, and I've got the photo and their information, so it's their energy print. So then I can record the vibration, and it does that. And so now I added something, so I want to click that check mark again, right? So I still don't want to do analysis on that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you for my dog here. Well, actually, what I wanted to do was lists. So I'm going to click on lists, and now I can look for my dog, Bindi, and I can see the different lists. Now, one thing I learned here is the blue lines are the ones that are for, these lists are for the programs and or the databases. You're going to understand that more in a minute. And then the pink is when we do an aura analysis. Now, one of the things you can do is if I, let's say, do Bindi on 9/5/2020, there's a Healy mental balance. I can put my finger to the right of that, slide it to the left, and I can either delete it or rename it. But what I learned today, because I wanted to sometimes, if I had a particular thing in a program that I liked and I want it to be kind of my favorite, I wanted to be able to rename it. Well, you can, but I found out that for the blue ones, the resonance ones, it bundles then all the readings for mental programs all together. So for instance, for the bush flowers, I wanted to indicate that this particular run on the 4th had a lot to do with joy. And so I renamed it. But now if I scan down my lists, that all of those ones that I'd done for the Australia bush flowers are all gathered up under that. So I can still access them, but indeed I've changed the name for all of those. So I'm going to put in a software enhancement request on that one because I want to be able to individually do it. So here you're going to see what was in that list, these different flowers. And we're not going to stop here for right now. I'm going to let you look at that a little bit more later. But what I can do, when it says select at the bottom and then the date stamp and then a down arrow, that means I can look at all the other times that I have lists for that. And if I click on 9/1, it brings up a different list. So I still have access to all the lists. It's just bunched them together here with one name. And I wanted to be able to individually name a list. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be possible or not, but it's not right now. And so I mistaught it before because I didn't understand it. Okay. Whereas when I did the aura analysis, oh, I guess I don't have it for her, but I have it for me, where I was able to rename an individual one without losing all the others. You know, I could still individualize those. All right. So that's that. Now, let's say I want to do a scan for Bindi. So I'm going to click on that little heartbeat in the middle at the bottom. And I'm going to do a resonance analysis on her. So I put my finger on that. And it takes me back to pick her up again. So you kind of have to go back and forth. So I push her. And then it says, what do I have the greatest resonance for now? So we want to find the highest result for Bindi. I put an auspicious photo of her with that 1111 time in there. That's her photo. And so I can continue with database selection. And now you see the complete list of the menus that you can access. So the 7 at the top are databases rather than program folders. And so if I bring up the Bach flower remedies, there was 39 Bach flower remedies. If I click on this little pencil or touch this little pencil, it's going to show me some of them. I don't know if it has the entire list. That was something I noticed, that a lot of them will show what they are, but then not. Oops. Oh, sorry. I didn't click on the actual one for the Bach flowers. So it's going to show me some of them. I don't know if it does. This one does look like it has all of them. I think some of them, maybe all of them aren't showing quite yet. And it's not printable, the list, but it does show you, you know, what's here of the Bach flowers. Okay, so let's say I want to do an analysis. So I say start analysis. Now this fingerprint is just a way of putting your intention for the person or animal or whatever you're working on. So you just touch it with any finger. It's just your focused intention. It has nothing to do with the fingerprint. And then it's complete. The first time you do an analysis, it takes longer than subsequent times. So it's going to show you which show up, what are the highest 5 that resonate that she could use the most right now. So you can see the top one is 67%. And then it goes down to 61, 61, 59. They stay in pretty much the same range. Sometimes there's very big differentials, you know, in one over the other, the percentages. And so now I can choose, oh, I could even right here choose from a different one that time that I ran the Bach flower. I can click again where it says select. I can, you know, say, oh, I really want to look at a different list. So I could choose this one, you know, or I could choose way back in July. And it's looking like it's interesting. I think that the Bach flowers run in kind of the percentages. So now what I can do is touch on actions. I can show a PDF and render a PDF to send to myself or someone else as a report. So I touch these 3 little knobby things in the blue, and then I could select mail, messenger, message. And sometimes it won't render the PDF. I think that's another little software enhancement we need. So sometimes I come back later and go to the lists and generate it at that time. And so let's just say, so sometimes I'll touch on copy, and that's more reliable. And then I go to the knobby things again, and let's say then I want to email it to myself. So you see it did not pick up. Let me see. Yeah, it still didn't pick up. I wanted to show you one where it actually picks up so you can see what it looks like. It's just, you can tell that there's a document there. Anyway, then you can send it. And I guess you can save them to Dropbox as well. Okay, then what I can do is under actions, I can vibrate, and the default time is select transmission duration. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. All the times that they generate for you, pre-selected times, are in golden ratio because they feel like they're more potent. I can click on that arrow and show all of the different possibilities. And then if I want to choose my own time, I touch manual. And then you can see I can pick days, hours, minutes, seconds. So let's just say I want to run this, whoops, for 10 seconds. So I press start, and that's what it looks like running. And if you're doing this on someone remotely, they could be watching you on Zoom. You could take a little video of it and share it with them as a text so they can see more what's going on and get a feel for it. All right, now let's say we'll go back and do the resonance again. We'll pick up Bindi. And get some very interesting things in the Alaskan gem elixirs and the bush flowers. Let's just pick the gem elixirs. And again, I can click on that little pencil and see what it's going to show me. Oops, that pencil goes to the whole database, I see. Okay, so now I have to, that just is getting me back to the whole database. So it's a return to the database, or, you know, the whole list. So I'm going to click on Start Analysis. then it's going to show me what it finds. Always the top 5. So these are kind of nice. A vibration of peace, balance, and timeless simplicity helps us stay centered in the moment with an awareness and acceptance of our true essence. They're really great intentions. So let's just vibrate this for 1 minute and 20 seconds, just to get a feel for that. Some of you may tune in and you may, sense something in your field, in your body, in your awareness. I've definitely had people on webinars where they felt something and the next week will report some interesting healing that has happened. And I just want to point out here that the company, they'll recommend that we run these for just like 37 seconds if it's something acute, and repeat it, several times a day. And if it's something more systemic or long lasting, then you might run it for 2 minutes, 49 seconds. But a lot of us have found that very interesting results from having things run on us or running them for ourselves in longer times. So, if it's someone that's been through a lot of trauma, or they know they've, got a lot of toxins in them, you might want to go very gentle. So very, little amounts of time, but it's really for us to experiment. And I was able to ask the head of the program product development about that. And he said, yeah, we're the ones that provide you with the facility to do, and then you get to choose an experiment. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Now, let's say I'm going to press on the heartbeat again, and I'm going to click again on resonance analysis, pick up Bindi, go back to the list, and now I'm going to look at the program folders. So it starts with the gold, and in parentheses next to the names of the program folder, it says how many programs are in that. And if I click on that or touch that little blue eye on the right, it's going to show me the different programs. So in the case of the gold, there's only 7, so it's going to include the top 5. But let's just say I want to go back to the database and select all of the folders. So I want to find what are the top 5 folders that she most resonates with right now. So I can touch on all Healy programs, which is 17 folders. And I can start an analysis right here. And Bindi's sitting on her little bed near me. I guess she wants to sleep. So sleep was the highest folder at 74%, then it goes down to 59. So there was a significant difference there. So that really tells me, wow, that's, pretty significant. So now what I can do is I can vibrate some of that for just like 37 seconds. So it's going to be running the vibrations for all those programs. So there might be, let's say there's 7 programs in each folder. So that might be around about 35 programs it's going to be pulling from to vibrate for her. Okay, so now if I want to go deeper and find out Okay, so the sleep programs are the highest folder. Let's look at what are the top sleep programs in that folder. So now we call it drilling down, right? So I'm going to go to the heartbeat button, go to resonance analysis, pick up Bindi. And now I'm going to go to the sleep programs. Now there's only 4 in that, so it's not too exciting to see which ones are which, but we'll do that anyway. So we start the analysis, touch it, get it going, and it's just going to be ordering it and telling us really what's the highest percentage one. So 58% versus 17 at the bottom. So, you know, bed rest is probably a lot more important for her right now. So I can run some of this, right? 17 seconds. And then I can also take this as a guide for going over to the Pink Dot app, the Healy app, and doing an electrode program or without the electrodes of the highest one, the bed rest. So I could pick up that bed rest. So it can kind of point me to what might be most auspicious for me to do that day or most relevant, right? Because the sleep folder was the highest and then the bed rest was, so that's the highest program of all the folders right now for my dog. Who knew? All right, so now we've done the resonance analysis. That shows you a bit about that. Now let's go to the aura analysis. So I'm going to touch that little meditating figure, pick up Bindi. And history, I can compare 2 different times that I've done it for her. If I want to see that, I think I'm going to try to the right of history. There's 3 little down lines. And so it's going to show me a chart of which chakras had the most energy running through them. So it's not like when we think of, oh, that person's has a wonderful heart open space, and we really love that about them. So this is a little bit different way to look at the chakras, because it really is about the energy that's running through the system at this moment in time that affects all the organs around it. Okay, but it is an opportunity to just look and compare. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to record a new aura for her. It's just going to automatically do that off of her energy print. And then there's an analysis. One of the things you can read online, and I don't think it's available to print anywhere, not that I've discovered. I can go to this little right arrow on interpretations, and it's going to show me some really fascinating, cool stuff about that particular chakra. And it picks out the ones that are the highest, actually. And it has nice affirmations in there. Nature, spiritual, emotional, psychic, some really great information. And then I can choose analysis. And again, it's going to show me the bar chart of where she's now. Wow, she's completely open-hearted. Her heart's doing good. And then it's going to put this little blue circle under the 3 lowest ones. And I can touch under the others and have it do a report and analysis on all of them if I want. Okay, or I could just have it do 1. So now I start the analysis, and I can include high negative relevancies. And in this case, I'm going to toggle that to the right. And that's negative relevancies in this case mean those things that are more subconscious and not so present in our awareness. So now I'll touch start analysis. And it's going to bring up for each chakra 3 different messagings about possible things from our background, our current life, maybe a past life, something we're completely unaware of, possibilities. And it doesn't have unlimited types of messaging. So you could say in a way these are generic, but these are the ones that were picked out to be most resonant. And, I can't really explain how it relates to an animal versus a human. But basically, it's picking out distortions where there's an imbalance in the chakras, what's weakest, and how do we correct that distortion. So not to get so caught up in the messaging. As you read about it, as a person reads the report, if there's something that rings a bell and it's something it was helpful for them to bring to their awareness, great. If it doesn't seem to relate to them so much, you know, so be it. Just go with the effect rather than, you know, really focusing so much on the messaging. So I want to point out a few things here. The percentage here, remember this is working on the chakras that were the lowest, but the percentage is, again, the one that needs the help the most. So it's 85%, okay? Or the highest negative percent on the negative relevancies. So I can vibrate that. And the other thing I can do, this is a very cool kind of advanced feature. If I touch on that little pencil below that first paragraph, I can actually put in my own desired state and present state. So I could put an affirmation in there about the heart or root chakra, whatever it is that I want to add in there. I can just type some things in there. I can take that out and put some other things in. I just said, I'm joyful and connected to all that is. And now when I vibrate that, that's part of what's going to be vibrating. So we'll just do this for 17 seconds, just to show you how that works. So you've got the percentage and then a number that's sort of, I think it's the intensity. And then to the right, there's letters, and that's the homeopathic dilution. So D's are more around the physical, LMs are around the spiritual etheric, and C's are the more emotional mental. And I don't know what happens when it's a combination of LM, CD. I don't know. Maybe it's both. All right. So, and then you can send the report, of course, like we were showing you before, how you would do that. So let me see if I can go pick up a list that maybe is more simple. Let's just see for Healy protection program. So I click on that and click on actions and show PDF if I'm able to generate it. What's those three little knobby things? See if I can text it to myself. It's not cooperating today. It seems, guess not. And I know the people from TimeWaver were having trouble downloading programs for people. And so I think that it may be the system overload as well. I'm not sure, but I've always gotten it to, you know, to do it. So it's not a problem. It's just you have to come back and do it later. All right. So let's see. The other thing I wanted to show is with the aura analysis, I showed you how with the pencil you could add something in around a particular chakra. If you wanted to add in a desired state, you could also do this for this overall run that we were going to do on this list. So I can add, click on actions and then add manually. Now I can type in the whole thing of what I want it to do. And then it's like feeling more joy or so, just to get it going. And I could do all of that stuff. I can set the relevance, intensity, potency, and now I can add a symbol. So if I touch that plus sign, I can add an image. So here, if I had an essential oil that I wanted to use, or I had a homeopathic remedy or a crystal or a word, I could take a picture of that, right? And I could add the image from my gallery, and then I can record the vibration of it. And so here I would put whatever it is, let's say it's the essential oil, right on top of my Healy. Maybe you want the vibration of the tree in your backyard, so you could hold your Healy next to that tree. And then you record that. I don't know what it's recording at the moment, but and now, you know, whatever it is would be when I ran it. So like if I have a particular essential oil and I've really scanned that in, then whatever statement I've made about that, as I vibrate, that statement is going to be vibrating into my field too. So this works so much with the power of intention. Whenever you're working with yourself or your clients, it's your intention. You really are the healer, practitioner, provider, and the Healy is your tool. So you want to be in a really good state, and you want the person to receive in a really good state. So about their intention and not what they're trying to get rid of, really what's focused on what they want and how they want to feel as a result of having what they want. And so you can set up an appointment with someone. I'm going to send you some vibrations at this time and ask them to drink good water, get some movement, get grounded. Especially good to use grounding or earthing or sleeping on an earth mat or using an earthing pad. When you're using the electrodes, there's a lot of electrons moving through the body, so that can help with detox or whatever. So, okay. Taz, is there anything that I haven't covered that you think I should cover on this?
No, I think you went through it pretty thoroughly.
All right. So we'll stop broadcasting. And I think I'm going to